Arctic air is in town to start the weekend, but I'm tracking a snow system to end it. A full forecast on the way.
While it may not be summer, school is out in Whitley County again.
One of the teens who pleaded guilty to killing a Lexington man was back in court today for sentencing in that same case. We'll explain why.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good evening to you. It looks like we are in for a cold Valentine's weekend here in the Bluegrass.
It's expected to feel like below zero by morning, and we could see some snow by the end of the weekend. So a lot going on. We begin tonight with our chief meteorologist, Chris Bailey. He has an early look at the forecast on this WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day.
Yeah, guys, it's been a First Alert Severe Weather week again. It's been nonstop winter weather outside of that small little break yesterday. It's back, though, in the Bluegrass. Southern Kentucky, we picked up a good inch or so of snow into some areas, closing schools again and putting down a fresh covering on roads. Defender Radar Network picking up on some flakes now beginning to fly in the clouds. Keeping an eye on this band of some snow flurries and snow showers working in from parts of Indiana and Ohio. That'll drop in from northwest to southeast fairly quickly. Then look at the little plume of juice that is coming off of Lake Michigan with those snow bands heading toward Michigan as those winds now become more northerly and northwesterly. We'll get in on some of that late this evening into the wee hours of the morning. So here's what we're talking about. Snow showers and some flurries. By tomorrow morning, temperatures are going to crash 8 above to 13 by daybreak. Wind chills at that time on a gusty wind could hit 0 or a little below depending on where you are across the entire area. But again, the snow's not the big story, at least in the short term. It's all about those gusty winds and bitterly cold temperatures that arrive as we're going to late tonight and into the start of your weekend. Guys, when I come back in a few minutes, we're going to focus on the end of that weekend forecast. It's Valentine's Day. We're talking about snow that will move in before the day is over, and some totals we'll throw your way in just a few.
Thank you, Chris. And most of today's snow fell in southern Kentucky. School was canceled in both Whitley County and Williamsburg due to the weather.
Today was one of several snow days schools there have already had, and now one of those districts says they can't afford to have many more. WKYT's Mike Linden continues our First Alert Weather Day coverage in Whitley County.
With more snow and cold to close the week, it continues to be a frustrating winter to drive in Whitley County.
When you live in the mountains, you don't have a choice but to, do what you have to do.
While today's snow isn't sticking to many of the main roads, the side roads stand to have the biggest impact this weekend.
While it is snowing rather consistently in Whitley County, it's not necessarily the heaviest snow. In fact, it's quite light and fluffy. The issues that drivers could face, though, moving forward is that once this light, fluffy snow becomes compacted on the roadways, drivers may lose traction. At the City of Williamsburg School District, students have missed 8 days.
Student achievement is directly impacted by the kids not being in the building. And so that's why you've got to make every decision every day very carefully, keeping in mind the safety of kids, but also keeping in mind student achievement.
Whitley County schools are going on 12 days out of school. To make up for lost time, Superintendent Scott Paul has proposed taking away 3 of the 5 days set aside for spring break.
Our kids' education is what's important. I mean, come on, 3 days is what? 3 days. They've had 12 days off. It wouldn't bother me if they took the whole spring break, just for the simple fact that my kids come first, their education comes first, and that's what it needs to be.
In Whitley County, Mike Linden, WKYT.
Williamsburg School District officials say spring break will remain untouched despite the chance of no school on Monday. Remember, you can get the very latest radar, forecast, and weather headlines on WKYT.com and the WKYT News app.
Last year, Damian Sanders was sentenced to 7 years in prison in connection to a deadly shooting in Lexington. Today, Sanders was sentenced again, but this time as an adult. Sanders was 16 when police say he shot Antonio Franklin Jr. in 2014. Last year, he pled guilty to second-degree manslaughter. Today, Sanders returned to court for a tough talk from the judge. Kristen Kennedy has more now from the courtroom.
Judge Pamela Goodwine was very direct with Damian Sanders.
We have too many juveniles with guns.
Sanders was 16 at the time police say he shot and killed Antonio Franklin Jr., an innocent man caught in crossfire at Duncan Park. Sanders pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter, and the judge sentenced him to 7 years. He went to court again Friday to be sentenced as an adult. Judge Goodwine says he'll serve the rest of his sentence. She's not giving him probation.
This court is not simply going to tolerate guns in the hands of our juveniles and simply give them a slap on the wrist, send them to juvenile detention facility, and when they become an adult, send them back into our community.
Anita Franklin not only wrote a victim's impact statement, but she also addressed Sanders in court, telling Judge Goodwine that she thought he was different than the other 3 charged in her son's death.
He took accountability. It wasn't immediate, but he took accountability. I want him to never forget what he did to Antonio Franklin. I want him to never forget that vision that the other children that were in that park had to witness. When you make a bad decision.
Sanders' attorney says his family is disappointed he won't return home yet. Both she and Franklin are united in their message. Youth must not have access to guns.
I think that the decision that was made in order to make an example, and I can only, hope and I have concern because I know what happens with young people in prison.
In Lexington, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
And of the 3 other men charged with Franklin's death, 2 served out their sentences, and one of those 2, William Dixon, is already back in jail. He's serving time for possession of a handgun by a felon. Investigators are trying to figure out what caused a fire that destroyed a southern Kentucky restaurant.
The Lee's famous recipe in London caught fire about 9:30 last night, and then firefighters had to go back when it started up again this morning. Jennifer Palumbo is at the live desk with the very latest. Jennifer?
Amber, it didn't take long for firefighters to spot the fire because 2 of them happened to be driving by last night when they noticed the flames. But it did take them a long time to fight the flames. Firefighters got out of the restaurant just in time last night before the metal roof collapsed. Then they had to battle hot spots this afternoon. This fire comes 1 year after the one that destroyed Weaver's, another popular restaurant.
But here's another restaurant that's been around the area for, almost, I'd say over 30 years. And you've lost another one. You hate to see a restaurant close, but you hate to see one taken that way because it not only affects the citizens, but it's also affecting the business owner and employees.
Customers tell us they'll miss the Lee's famous recipe and hope a new one can be built to replace it. The restaurant was closed when the fire started. No one was hurt. At the live desk, Jennifer Palumbo, WKYT.
Jennifer, thank you. While investigators don't yet know the cause, they believe it might have started in the attic. Police in Knox County arrested a man Wednesday, after a violent shoplifting attempt. Police say 40-year-old Ronnie Joyner tried to steal $40 worth of meat at a Save-A-Lot in Corbin. Investigators say when an employee tried to stop him, he reportedly became violent, hitting one worker and choking another. Police say they later arrested Joyner in the parking lot of a nearby liquor mart. Joyner is charged with second-degree robbery, alcohol intoxication in a public place, and resisting arrest.
Tens of millions of Americans are finalizing their plans for Valentine's Day. People who celebrate will spend an average of about $147 this weekend, and that adds up to nearly $20 billion. On Valentine's Day, more than half of men in relationships say they will buy flowers for their special someone. Most of the year, roses would cost a little more than $40, but this romantic day is different.
The price of roses, especially red roses, goes up anywhere from threefold to fivefold.
Financial website Bankrate says a typical Valentine's Day celebration, roses, chocolates, champagne, jewelry, and a nice dinner could set you back $512. It's actually the 4th most lucrative event on the retail calendar, behind only Christmas, back to school, and Mother's Day, says Adweek executive editor Tony Case.
Men hate it because they feel obligated to top themselves. Women hate it because they always hate the gifts they get, or it somehow doesn't live up to their expectations. So nobody's happy.
Restaurants raise prices to take advantage of romantic dinner dates. Valentine's Day dinner at Maria, the 2 Michelin star restaurant in New York City, is $175 per person. On other days, it's just $99.
75% of people said they do not want anything for Valentine's Day, but when asked again in the same survey, 25% of them admitted they lied.
So they really wanted something.
If your wife says she doesn't want anything for Valentine's Day, don't believe her. Buy it anyway.
Probably good advice there. There is some good news as well for couples out there. The price of jewelry has been dropping.
The battle is heating up between Governor Matt Bevin and his predecessor, former Governor Steve Beshear, over the future of Kentucky's health care.
Our Bill Bryant has details on that story and look at the state of the presidential race, all in today's Bottom Line.
Good evening. Attorney General Andy Beshear is defending his father's tough public stance against his successor's plan to unplug the state health care exchange known as Connect and look for alternatives to the Medicaid expansion. Yesterday, former Governor Steve Beshear, who's a Democrat, announced his involvement in a group dedicated to trying to convince Republican Governor Matt Bevin to keep the exchange in place. The former governor's son, now Attorney General Andy Beshear, defended his father against the current governor's assertion that Steve Beshear is wrong on the numbers and that Kentucky cannot afford what is currently in place.
I wish I had the free time that he does, in all sincerity. I mean, my job is to clean up the mess that has been left for me. There have been years of problems in the making. When you run, you may be running from one party or another, but once you are in office, you represent everyone. And Connect and the expansion of Medicaid are absolutely critical for the health of our people, and they work.
Our interview with the Attorney General was scheduled before the former governor spoke out. You can see the interview with Andy Beshear and hear from the Kentucky League of Cities on issues facing communities on Kentucky Newsmakers. It airs Sunday morning at 6 on WKYT. It repeats later that morning at 10 on the CW Lexington. Set your DVR or catch it then. The Republican candidates for president will be debating tomorrow night, and it will be aired by CBS and WKYT at 9 p.m. Donald Trump leads the polls in the next primary in South Carolina, but former Governor Jeb Bush has had to move some events to larger venues after word got out that his brother, former President George W. Bush, will join him on the campaign trail in South Carolina. And Ohio Governor John Kasich is picking up support from billionaire Ken Langone, the co-founder of Home Depot. Democrats Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton are back out on the campaign trail today after their sometimes tense debate last night. Both sides are angling for support from minorities. Both say they have strong records on civil rights. The Clinton campaign also bracing for the release of more emails tomorrow from her time as Secretary of State. It is the birthday of the only American president born in Kentucky. Abraham Lincoln was born in a log cabin in LaRue County near what is now Hodgenville, February 12, 1809. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Now, this winter weather can be deadly for anyone left out in the cold, and the same is just as true for animals. Volunteers at the Martin County Animal Shelter are doing what they can to make sure their facility can keep out the cold. The shelter is already overcrowded, holding 19 animals under a roof that's meant to hold only 8. Volunteers from other rescue groups have come in to help.
We've got several rolls of plastic. We're going to wrap the kennels and kind of winterize those to keep the wind off of them. And we're also going to block the wind from coming into the indoor kennels.
Volunteers say besides damage this winter, there have been problems with sanitation at the shelter due to frozen water and clogged pipes. Volunteers say they have a meeting set for the end of this month with county officials to discuss the future of that shelter.